Yes, hello world, what is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we are here live at the Build Studio, where else but in New York City. Our next guest is a two-time Tony Award nominee. You've seen her on stage in such shows as Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella and Bandstand, but come Monday, July 1st, you can catch her on TV starring in the new Hallmark original movie, In the Key of Love. The great Laura Osnes is here. How do you feel about that? I'm excited. Are you excited at home? They're excited as well. We're going to bring her out in just a second, but first, I believe we have a peek at the show, movie, there. So let's go ahead and run that clip. Ladies, make a crazy amount of noise. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Laura Osnes is right here. Come on, everybody. Come on. Welcome to the show. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Of course. Thank you for
Thanks.
coming and stopping by.
That's the first time I've ever seen that.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see anything from the movie yet, so that was just as exciting for me as it was for all of you, I hope.
How do you typically do in that scenario? You've done some TV stuff before. This is your first time like starring front. So there you are on the poster. This is it. This is your movie. How are you comfort-wise watching yourself and playback and seeing scenes like that? Is it?
I feel
weird?
like
Are you okay with it?
every actor's different, but
Yeah.
my heart's definitely a little like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh wow, this is actually happening? But it's exciting. I mean, I'm thrilled to get to be part of this and felt so honored to have my first movie be like this Hallmark film that's super sweet and charming. And Scott, Michael Foster, is just a dream. We had so much fun working together, so it was cool. It was really But
Well,
I'm like,
we'll get into all of that. It's so funny. Yeah, it's like we were talking about backstage. It is super sweet. It's super charming. It's a fun movie. It's a perfect summer movie. A great little story about a wedding. I'm in that. I've just recently, I don't know about you, I've just recently left the phase where every single person in my life was also getting married. I had 7 weddings in a row, all of that stuff. I've just cleared that. Baby phase on the horizon.
Yes.
Have you been through that? Are you experiencing that as well? Have you gone to 23 different weddings?
A lot of my friends are at the point where they're having babies now. I've been married for 12 years, actually. So
hold for applause. 12 years. Anything over?
Thank you.
There you go. Come on. We know how this works. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
But got married fairly young, and I feel like I've been able to see a lot of my friends through marriage now. Some still single friends, totally, but a lot of I'm more kind of at the age where kids are having babies, and now that's the conversation between my husband and I going like, are we ready for that? Do we want that? And I think it's still a few years away, if it is a few years away, but yeah, definitely, sure. Tis this season.
Let me ask you this then. Filming a fun little getaway pretend wedding, less stressful than going to an actual getaway real wedding? Where do you rate that?
Yes, we've shot the movie in Vancouver, and let me tell you, Vancouver is glorious. It is so, so beautiful. It was a sweet little escape from the craziness of New York. Have a crazy schedule shooting a film, but it was beautiful. There's mountains and water everywhere. And we were there in the spring, the cherry blossoms. It was great. And the fun thing about this is that I played the photographer of the wedding. So I'm actually not the bride getting married. I'm shooting his sister's wedding, which is the whole thing.
You're walking around with that heavy camera. Did you actually take a bunch of photos?
I took tons of photos, and I have tried to actually get in touch with our props guy to be like, hey, we got to get those photos on like a Dropbox or something, because I took so many priceless shots from the process that I just think would be so special to have.
I can't believe they didn't give you the photos.
I know. Well, I think they're working on it. I have heard they're working on it.
They had priority.
But it works out great because my husband is actually a photographer, a professional photographer here in the city, so he showed me the ropes. It worked out.
Did he give you tips? Give you like a lesson and all that sort of stuff?
Totally.
Were you I know I used to take a lot of photos. I used to be a photographer. I know Nikon versus Canon, big deal. Was he okay with what they gave you, with the props that you had to work with? Was he?
Yeah, he is a Canon guy. I'm trying to remember. I think the one they had in the movie was Canon.
I think it was. They covered the little thing with tape, I think.
Yeah, I don't think they want people to know.
No, they don't. Well, we've ruined that for them now.
Yeah, oops, sorry. We're not sponsored. There's no thing here.
But everyone at Canon, they do watch this show.
Great.
This is very popular in the Canon offices. I've gotten a lot.
Exactly.
I've got a lot of emails about that. Let's start at the beginning, because this is, like I said, I went through your IMDb to make sure this is your first starring role. You've done some really cool stuff. I mean, you were just in Fosse
Verdon.
Yeah, you were Shirley MacLaine.
I played Shirley MacLaine. I had one line in one scene in the pilot episode. It was awesome. It was so great. I was so honored to be a part of that.
That had to be a really fun experience for just to be Shirley MacLaine for a minute. Like,
yeah,
that's a cool thing.
Completely. I had like a red wig, and I had like blue eyeshadow. It was great. It was super fun.
All right, so that was really fun. But anyway, the point is you've been on TV before, but this is the first time. Here it is. This is your movie.
Yeah.
So how'd you get involved? How did you come to be a part of this project? How did this become the first thing?
One of the producers on this movie, his name is Kevin Duda, and he's worked a lot on Broadway. He's produced and also acted in Broadway shows, and I just did a project with him at Lincoln Center this past February, and he like pulled me aside and was like, Laura, I produce with Hallmark on the side. Would you be interested or available to ever like do a Hallmark movie? And I was like, heck yes, I would love to. Keep me posted. And this came across his table, and he actually had worked on like co-writing this one as well. Like the plot was also kind of co-created by him and another mutual friend of ours named Julie Foldesai, who is a singer-songwriter and actress also in the city. She and I did South Pacific on Broadway together several years ago. And she wrote the music for this movie. And so it had a couple New York people involved who knew me and knew who I was and thought of me for this role. And they pitched my name to the director and the network. And they offered me the role. And so I am so grateful that the door just kind of seemed to open. It just came across my plate, and I got to kind of walk through it.
So when you're getting ready to walk through that door, you're packing your bags for the trip, as it were. I'm going to exhaust this metaphor here. And you and you're getting ready. The door's open. Here we go. We're going to walk through. How do you prepare for your first movie? And did you find it was different than how you'd get ready for a gig on stage or something like that?
100%. In fact, that was one of the things that scared me most, was the inability to adequately prepare. You know, in theater, you get a month of rehearsal to work things out in a room and get to know everybody. And this is like, we're shooting day one, 5 scenes. Here we go. And you don't get rehearsal. The process is so different. And that was the thing that was really giving me anxiety, because especially this being my first film, and leading it, I wanted to be prepared and I wanted to do well. And I had to learn to kind of let go of that and just play and be in the moment. And luckily Scott is so great at that he kind of showed me by doing how to, you know, give up that need to be in control and that need to have to prepare.
Had you and Scott crossed paths before? Or was this your first time working together?
This was our first time working together, but he was on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, right. And I know like a lot of the cast of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
That's what I assumed.
So I knew of him through that. I had seen them in concert when the Crazy Ex tour came through here and played Town Hall a few years ago. So I had seen him, knew of him, but this was the first time we had met and got to work together.
Yeah, so cool. That's such an intense scenario for you, though, because you're right. You have to not only learn to adapt, but you have to break all these habits and all these rhythms that you've established over years of performing on stage and performing live and finding this new way to get there. How did he help you? What kind of ropes did he show you? What kind of sage wisdom did Scott have to offer?
Scott was great, and our director Claire Niederprum was also lovely with me and so patient and great. And it would be like little things like, I mean, Scott helped me with like the language. Like he would just be like, "Oh, we're doing a whatever, like dirty, you know." A dirty shot, which is like from behind, or you know, the terminology that I'm like, what does that mean? What am I supposed to do? And like helping me find my mark and things like that, because that, you know, stuff like that is so different on Broadway. It's like you can be in the general area or you choose a number or whatever, but this was like marks on the floor, and you know, I wasn't used to that. But Claire was so lovely. She would come over and be like, okay, like you're just focus on this time, just throw it away. You know what I mean? Or like this time, like you're breathing a little heavily before this thing, just be aware of it this time. Or, oh, like just look at him. We're on a super close up, so you don't need to look around so much. You know, just gentle things that were like, thank you for telling me that, because those are things I would, you know, watch back in the movie and be like, why didn't someone tell me? Yeah. So I learned by doing. I, you know, haven't had very much experience doing TV film, you know, little things like you said here and there. And this was, I feel like I kind of overcame my fear in a way. I've been going on TV auditions for years and I've never booked them. And so, you know, or rarely booked them and maybe come close to some things, but haven't quite had that moment yet. So I, yeah, I feel like this was a kind of a perfect opportunity to kind of get over that fear and just learn. I tried to be a sponge. I just soaked up so much from the people around me, and everybody was so nice and encouraging and wonderful.
Well, you kind of hope they are in a Hallmark movie set,
Yeah.
right? You got to imagine these movies don't come
Completely.
from an environment of just stressed out, angry people churning out these movies.
Completely. It was perfect for that reason, for sure.
That's a really like cool space for you to kind of get in there and figure things out.
Yeah.
You mentioned you guys didn't get a whole lot of rehearsal time. They had to have given you like a day to at least work on the music, right? Because you do have a couple of songs in the film.
Yes, I do get to sing.
Key of Love. There's got to be good
hello,
music. Yeah.
totally. So yeah, the music was sent to us like a week in advance, a week and a half, and we recorded all of the songs in a recording studio like 2 days before we started shooting. So we actually did the songs in advance, and then 2 of the songs we did like live as well, so they would have the option of using the clean pre-record or some live vocal. And I actually don't know what they ended up kind of choosing. I haven't seen the final edit yet, so that's pretty cool. But that was also kind of my comfort zone. I was actually kind of thrilled to be like, oh, good. And that was the first thing we did before we started shooting. So I was like, I've been in a recording studio. I know I can sing. Here we go. So that, when I got on set, I was like, okay, we'd already had a few days together.
And I feel like, too, like you were saying, I think everyone that worked on the music is from Broadway as well, so they kind of know like your strength, and they're like, we can throw a song at her a week in advance and she'll be all right. She'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and the thing is too, for like, and when you're in a studio, you don't have to memorize. You can just read it, you know what I mean, off the thing, and you can do it however many times till you get it right, which is great. And they can take a compilation of several takes to get the best.
Are you still now that you've got? You got to do now. You got one Hallmark. You got to do a Christmas Hallmark movie.
I
next.
would love to.
Like Songs of Snow or something like
I'll
that. You
take
got to
it.
do another musical.
I like that. That's a great title.
Songs of Snow. You can have it. Yeah.
I'm so in for that.
The Canon people and the Hallmark people do a watch party. They both love this show. So all of these ideas, we've put them out into the universe. I feel very good about it right now.
Yeah, bite. it's perfect. Yeah, no, I would love to. I know that Hallmark does tend to be loyal to a bunch of their actors. So if this were to open a whole new door to go along with your analogy, I would be super grateful. We'll see. We'll see if another one kind of comes my way, and it would be super fun. I had such a great time doing it that I would definitely welcome doing another one.
Was putting aside like that first day and figuring out the rhythm and kind of having to recalibrate how you adjust. You obviously had a great time. I saw some fun Instagram posts.
Nice.
What was the most challenging time? Did you guys actually? It looked like you got knocked out of that canoe when I was watching it. You can't fake that.
Yeah. This is maybe a spoiler alert. So that was a night shoot. That was my first night shoot I had ever done, Yeah, it was super exciting. It was a whole bunch of firsts for me. We started at like 3 p.m. that day and got in hair and makeup and did a couple other shoots, a couple other scenes earlier in the day. And then we fall out of a boat, and this is in Canada in May at 2 a.m. So you can imagine that it was cold, and I'm such a wuss. Like, I like a heated pool. I don't even really like the ocean or like the beach. So yeah, this was a very bold, and I felt very proud of myself after we had done it. But again, like, Scott was great. He was like, we're gonna do this. I gotta be honest, like, they took every precaution to make sure that we were taken care of and felt comfortable. We had talked about using stunt doubles. We had stunt doubles on set in case that we chickened out in the moment, and we actually used them for a couple shots where he like splashes me, like they had to get her from behind getting soaking wet and then me from the front getting soaking wet. So, they were able to, use them tactfully, but we fell out of that boat at 2 a.m. on a lake in Canada. And I gotta be honest, like, it was, I remember the second I hit the water and went under and I was alive, I was like, I'm so glad I did that. You know what I mean? I had that huge, like, the second it happened, I was like, I'm alive and I'm so glad, like, we did that together, and now whenever I watch it, I'm just gonna giggle because, we fell in a lake together in the morning.
Not a lot of people can say that.
Exactly.
Not a lot of people can say that.
Exactly. If I can do that, I can do anything.
So you haven't had a chance to see it yet. Are you going to do like a fun friends and family viewing party? What are you going to do? Are they going to send you a link? Are you waiting for July 1st? What's your plan?
Great question. I don't know if I will get access to a link. I have heard that we have to wait till July 1st, so I wasn't planning on that.
Something. They can't send you.
I'm shocked. I might have to like buzz you later and see if you can send that.
I'll forward the email your way.
Great, thanks.
That's crazy, but yeah.
But I actually am, of all things, going to be home in Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota originally, on July 1st, and I think I'm going to get to watch it with my dad and stepmom, with my family, and probably have a couple close friends over. Not too much, because I'll get in my head and be weird.
That is like the exact way you're supposed to watch a Hallmark movie.
I agree.
At home, after being away for a while.
Yeah,
with your family.
It's kind of perfect.
That's like exactly what is, like, that's the way you view this. That's how it's done.
Exactly.
How long was the shoot? How long were you guys out there?
We were in Vancouver for 3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks.
3 weeks of shooting.
Okay.
15 days, actually.
So I'm trying to figure out, I know you just had, I want to say you had a show maybe a couple of nights ago at Feinstein's 54 and Below, right?
I did, indeed.
You got a show coming up in July at...
Yes, I'm playing Birdlands.
Birdlands, thank you.
July 8th.
July 8th. So it's like, was it hard for you to go 3 weeks without jumping on stage, without doing so? I feel like you're always, every time I look up what you're doing, you're always performing. You got a show coming, or I've just missed one. So it must have been hard for you to stop performing on stage for 3.5 weeks.
It was a little bit, and I missed it, but I was also having such a great time, and I was so stimulated doing this film and learning all of, that world as well, that I was like, oh, like this is, and at the same time, I was still getting to work. I wasn't singing as much, but I was still like getting this new experience. And it was, to be honest, like it was kind of a fun break. Like there were things I had planned during those 3 weeks that I had to suddenly be like, I'm so sorry, I have to cancel this appearance or this, singing at this thing. So it was a little refreshing in a way to do something different and have a great excuse to back out of some things. But then coming back,
feeling.
I know.
When you have a good reason to cancel something, ooh, I love that.
Exactly. And now I have this to show for it, which is really exciting. But it's been very fun to get back to my life too, and be like, it was like this little like bubble in Vancouver that we had, for 3 weeks that was fun and new. And then now I'm back going like, oh yeah, jumping back to these concerts, jumping back to, my life here too, and my friends, and getting to perform on stage again and sing. It's, that's my joy.
As different, as new, as much if it was just like another planet entirely, that process of making the film, was there anything from that experience that you've brought back with you that has informed or changed maybe a bit of a perspective that you had on what you do on stage?
100%. I watch movies and TV shows a whole different way now. And I feel like almost scarred, not scarred, but actually I have a hard time now listening to what the scene is about. And instead I'm thinking about the shots they had to take, how many times they had to do it, and the different shots that were set up, and the business that they're doing, and focusing on, oh, she took a bite of her sandwich. Is it the same in the next shot? Now I like find myself thinking about those things because I've lived through that on the other side, for better or for worse. Yeah. And then I also think I feel a lot more prepared for like TV film auditions. Going out for stuff like that now, I feel like I just have that experience now under my belt that I can now bring to the table and feel just a little more confident, because my whole life has been on the stage, and I've been wanting to do Broadway since I was a child, and that's been the thing. And so I haven't focused as much time getting good at acting for the camera. And I feel like, I learned a lot doing it, trial by fire, that I hopefully will now, bring to the room for those types of auditions and any future film projects.
Well, it really, it's everything you wanted it to be. It's a super sweet, super like charming film, and it's a great summer movie, and you should be very proud of it. Congratulations on it. We're going to go to the audience in just a second, but there's one other thing that I just found out about that you're doing, I want to say on July 4th for PBS. Is that right?
Yes.
It's pretty exciting.
Thanks.
We can talk about that. They said we could talk about this.
Exactly. So the movie airs July 1st, and then on the 4th of July, I get to be part of the Capital Fourth program that PBS does in D.C. on Independence Day. So I didn't even know what I'm singing yet. They should send me the song yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they're behind.
Well, I don't know. They keep saying, we'll send it to you, today, tomorrow, and it's been a few days now.
That and your link to the screener are coming right now.
That's great. Love it. Love it. Appreciate that so much.
Super exciting. All right, so there we are, Monday, July 1st, 8 p.m. 7 Central on the Hallmark Channel. We can catch In the Key of Love, fantastic movie. And then a few days later, PBS, Capital Fourth. We're going to see you there as well. You are all over our televisions right now.
Oh my gosh.
So amazing. Keep it going.
Thanks.
Keep going. We've got, how many we got? I got 2, Kate. Fantastic. Let me get the first question from the room. Microphone right here in the front.
Thank you so much for coming, first of all. I'm such a huge fan of yours, and I've been looking forward to coming to see you for a little bit now. But I just wanted to ask, what was the most surprising thing to you, I guess, between Broadway and TV. Like, what was the biggest thing that surprised you between the two?
I think that goes back to the preparation process. Again, like literally the second time I'm ever saying these words out loud, it's being filmed and potentially used as a take. Like in our rehearsal, in our blocking, you get a blocking rehearsal where it's basically like, this is exactly where you're gonna stand so that they can set up the camera shot to be, framing your face so perfectly. But it's basically like, okay, then you'll put your camera in your bag and you'll walk out. But literally the first time I'm putting my camera in my bag and walking out is when the camera's rolling. And I remember the first time we did a scene like that, the camera like didn't fit in my bag, and I had something else, and there's like a flap on the bag. So all the business of doing that for the first time, like I never practiced. I never got a shot at it. You don't really get the props like till the camera's rolling. So that was hard. That was hard for me because I like to be. I kind of pride myself on my like steadfastness and doing things, the same way 8 times a week. Like, I'm going to bring it. I'm consistent. And I felt like there were new things that were being thrown at me all the time that I had to deal with. But it also, it was great. I learned so much from being forced to be in that position. But yeah, things like that were probably, and the early mornings. Because we theater people are night people, and every day I was up at 6 a.m. and in the makeup chair at 7:30. Yeah, so that was different for me too.
Great question.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. We got one more. We're time for one more question all the way in the back.
Great. Hi. I was just wondering if while shooting, if there was any super fun or memorable moment on set that stuck with you.
There are a lot of super fun and memorable moments. I think I will pin that falling in the lake moment as like oh my gosh, we did that. Like, and they had like heating tents for us after, and like brought us to the hot tub and like heated slipper. Like they took care of us. It was really, really wonderful. And yeah, like shooting through the night. Also, the final thing that we shot was another night shoot, and it was the bonfire scene. That was the last scene that we shot, which you guys don't know yet. But it was kind of this beautiful, it was the full supporting cast, and all of us were together. And again, it was like 4 a.m, and we're singing around a campfire, and that was the last day, the final shot that we did. And I will never forget that night either, just because it was just like such a beautiful way to end this whole process. And then the first 4 days we shot on an island. So every morning we would drive 45 minutes to the ferry, and then we took a little tenderboat ferry to the island. And so again, watching the sunrise over the mountains on the water every morning.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, I was pinching myself, going this is my job. I'm getting paid to do this. So the beginning and the end, I would say, are 2 moments that will definitely stand out. And obviously getting to work with, all the people were so wonderful.
I actually, I'm not afraid to admit this, I'm so gullible, I Googled the name of the town. I was like, is this a real place? I got to go here. It was they gave it a fake name.
Yeah, they did. It's supposed to take place off an island in Georgia, I believe, in the script, and we were obviously in Vancouver, so yeah.
Fair enough. Well, that's it. Okay, we got to wrap things up. I'm getting the signal. I will remind everyone, Monday, July 1st, Hallmark Channel, In the Key of Love, and then July 3rd, PBS. You can catch Laura again. And if you're in town on, was July 8th at Birdland?
Yeah, July 8th at Birdland.
July 8th at Birdland. If you're in New York, go check her out there as well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
I hope
for
you had
having
fun.
me. I'm so honored.
Thank you to you guys. Make some noise. Laura Osnes right here. How great. Come on.